Have you tested any kind of Keeper of the Dragon magic in Branded? It feels really good. I have not. Yeah, I think Branded is solid, but I've voiced my opinion a lot on why I think Branded isn't the best pick for the upcoming events. And I can tell you, I'm currently not considering Branded for the YCS. By simple, I think I've ruled out Branded by simple representation of Ash Blossom, which sounds so like it sounds like such a simplistic thing to say, but we're playing 12 rounds of Swiss, and you can realistically expect all of your 12 opponents to run Ash Blossom. And I just think it's not realistic to go 10-2 or better when 12 of your opponents are maining Ash Blossom. I just think that's a thing that that Branded doesn't offer you. Like, it just doesn't do that, I think. Like, even if you have... Yeah, you get ashed 1 out of 3 games. So let's say you have 12 rounds of Swiss, and let's say everything goes for 3 games. That's 36 games. And if everyone plays Ash Blossom, then you get ashed in 12 out of 36 games. And even if you can win like half of your games where you get ashed, which I think is already a stretch. I think that's already a stretch. Beating half of the games where you get ashed, you can still win. Is like you still lose 6 games out of 36 just to Ash. So with that way of thinking, even if you win most of your other matches where you don't get ashed, I still think overall the math in a format where everyone plays Ash, it doesn't add up. Yeah, I think when you're playing Branded, you're basically asking for an outlier experience. Like, you want to try and shoot for... You want to try and get lucky. You're just trying not to get ashed that often, or maybe always have called by or cross out or whatever. But if you also factor in other cards like Barrier, Anti-Spell, Grave of the Super Ancient Organism, or just the games where you don't draw Branded Fusion, right? I mean, 36 games in Swiss, you're not drawing Branded Fusion 36 games, right? So, like, if you factor in all those things together, I think Branded has too many games that it just doesn't win, right? It just has too many games that it cannot play in out of the 12 rounds of Swiss. And I think that's why I ruled it out. That's why I ruled it out. I do think Branded has some other stuff going for it. Like, for example, I think Branded is arguably, if Branded Fusion resolves, the strongest deck in the game right now. And that gives you a lot of ease in all the games where you don't get ashed, right? Whenever you don't get hit by a Floodgate or Ash Blossom, you're like big chilling, right? Your deck it's so comfortable to just sit there and be like, activate Branded Fusion, and they say yep, and you're like, okay, well, I can play. I'm probably winning. Feels good, man. I'm like, it has some perks, but I feel like I'm maybe in that sense too much of a logical thinker to just bring Branded, because I'm just looking at the numbers and I'm like, it just doesn't do it, I think. The thing is, it will still top, right? But it's still, it's like this angle of, I don't know what representation Branded will have. Like, I don't know, 10% out of 4,000 people, that's going to be like 400 Branded players. It's like one of those 400 Branded players, or a bunch of those 400 Branded players, will probably end up not getting ashed very often, or probably just end up getting through to top 64, surely, right? But it's so arbitrary, right? It's so arbitrary that, like, I don't think it doesn't matter that much, I think. Like, some of them are gonna make it, but I don't see myself consistently being one of them to get to top 64. And then even all throughout top 64, I mean, imagine how often you go to game 3, right? Almost every match these days in Yu-Gi-Oh goes to game 3. And even if you just look at the game 3s, dude, if everyone is playing Ash and you sit in top 64 and you try to go all the way to win the thing, and you're like, all these game 3s, I'm just like struggling to not get ashed. Even if I've gone through game 1 and 2, like, and then game 3 I can go first. And then, like, you know, I just think a deck with such an important choke point like Branded Fusion, just it's just tough.